How would you deal with these Brexit negotiations? How do you, stop them from being stalled longer?
Well, I think the Prime Minister is pretty much on the right track. I think the point that I would say is that she's not saying anything she hasn't said already, by the way. What they've agreed in Cabinet is that she will tell them, which is what they're asking, because we gave a commitment, if you remember, to say that all our legal obligations would be met. So what the EU has asked, I understand it, is, well, what are those legal obligations that you agree? What the Prime Minister will be telling them, I think, today, is that we have defined what the legal obligations we believe are ones that we will meet, and those ones we will meet. And the others that we reject, if they want to have another go at us about that, that's fine. So there isn't... And within that, and the reason why it's not possible to put an absolute figure on that is because even within that agreement that we have a legal obligation doesn't mean to say that we actually accept the totality of the monies that are actually being argued and debated about. So that's why it's a little bit messy. Right,
but if we don't give a figure to the EU, they won't start talking.
Well, it's interesting. I understand they didn't ask for a figure. They asked for a commitment. The commitment was, what is the legal envelope that you are now discussing?
Ready to commit, OK.
That's what she's saying. So that's why the figures vary up and down where you are, because within that is the sense about, well, we'll debate and argue with that. I think the EU's got itself in a messy position right now, because in trying to say that these things have to be settled before you move to trade, what they forget, and they know this, by the way, Monsieur Barnier wants to go to trade, I understand, but the other countries are stopping him, because he knows you can't settle the Irish border till you settle what the trade arrangement. After all, if we have a free trade, no tariff arrangement with access to services, that makes the Irish border question incredibly simple to resolve, because there isn't a problem over the Irish border.
But how would you deal with it right now?
Well, right now, I would simply say to them, look, we can get to this point where we are with money. We've given you a definition on that. The Irish border, we've talked about the need for flexibility and everything else. We can't get any further with that. And all the other arrangements now rely on us to make a move over what is that trading arrangement. And as we heard in some of the news reports today, behind the scenes, many countries in Europe are now beginning to ask a serious question: why are we not talking about trade with the United Kingdom? Because we are the single biggest market for the EU when we leave. It would be absurd for them to decide they wanted to have massive tariff barriers.